as promised, we have an autism mom whose life changed when her daughter aged out of school. And so her name is Jamie Matlock, and she has started Austen's Autistic Adventures. So Jamie, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to meet everyone.
Where are you coming from today?
We are just outside of Dallas in a little suburb called Richardson.
Okay.
Fabulous.
And tell us how this idea came about and how it started.
Okay. Well, when Austen was in high school, she had many things to do all day long. Unlike a lot of people on the spectrum, she's very social. She was kind of the star of her high school. Everyone knew her. She was very involved in choir, had solos, and was just had a very busy day, very busy weekends. She was involved in Young Life and theater and all sorts of things. But in spring of her senior year, I went to a special needs conference, and a young lady who was not autistic, I think she had muscular sclerosis, but anyway, she was giving her little talk about life after high school and began crying because she was so lonely and bored. All her friends had moved away and gone to college. She wasn't able to herself get a job, so she was basically by herself all day long and just completely miserable. And up until that point, I had just kind of hoped that everything was going to work out for my child, that she would, be in college somewhere or find a job somewhere, even though I knew that probably wasn't terribly realistic. And then the reality of the situation began to hit me as I started looking around for what she could actually do after high school, and the answers were not to be had. There was really nothing for her to do.
So there were no programs. There were no after-school programs. There were no programs that would help her get employment. That kind of thing.
Well, here's the thing. Austen is like a large group of people that I'm finding. She is too high functioning for places like rehab or dayhab, sorry.
Right.
And she is too low functioning to really hold a job or attend college classes by herself.
Right.
So she is currently in a transition program with our high school, but it's only 2 hours a day. And like a lot of other people in her situation, she's left with 10, 12 hours a day of nothing to do.
Right.
My husband and I I was an English professor. I stopped to do this full time in May, but we were a little bit more fortunate than most people because we at least had flexible schedules. If I was teaching a class, my husband was home or what have you. But a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
Possibility, and even the best dayhabs are very, very expensive. We are not wealthy. We both teach English,
right.
So we couldn't afford them even if they had worked out for her. And we did try one, and this is not to disparage people who end up choosing a dayhab situation, but for Austen, because most of the people in the dayhab were lower functioning than she is, she began taking on their
behaviors.
So great characteristics.
Right.
She, after 3 weeks in this place, and she was in the best that is to be had, after 3 weeks, she began saying she was bored, she didn't want to go, and that was just not like her. So we decided that that wasn't for us, pulled her out and started looking for other things and discovered that there just wasn't any. There are TWC, that's just Texas Workforce Commission, and things to place special needs people. And she is on that list, but so far the things that we've seen have been very low skill. She
right.
was, even within her transition program, she's been asked to do things like clean tables at a nursing home or black out address labels for magazines to give to patients. And because she's super creative, she becomes very bored, and that increases her behaviors, and it doesn't work out. So I'm telling you all this is preamble for why I created my program. And please, I said I was an English professor, so I can talk nonstop for 90 minutes.
That's good. We like it. You're on a roll, and you keep keep going.
You're one of our tribe. But I want to get to because for me, what's pivotal here is that what a lot of people are going to find, and we're going to talk a lot more about the IT ITP process in the coming months. But because I'm learning about that and seeing all the things that an ITP process is supposed to do before our children get to the cliff. But what's shocking to me is that if your child is 18 and you get to the cliff, they don't have programs to work on the things that an ITP works on. But what you've brilliantly done, Jamie, is that your program has goals that almost exactly match what an ITP process does. And it's really, you're filling a gap that I don't see anybody else filling for those 18-year-olds. So I would love it if you would talk about the goals for your program.
Yes, I have many goals. It does not just come out and have fun, although that's what ends up happening. But we have 5 main goals for the program. My thinking is that kids that are our age in the high-functioning autistic, moderate to high-functioning group, what they need most is social skill improvements. So while OT is great and PT is great, what I think they need most is to improve their social skills. And I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Temple Grandin, who said, one of the best things people ever did for me was expose me to new things.
Right.
Are you still there?
Yep, we're seeing pictures of your program. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I thought Austen would benefit most from, because everyone in our program has super remarkable creativity and they're not being challenged. So my thinking is if I improve their social skills, then eventually they will perhaps have more fulfilling jobs. I'm not saying they'll all work 40 hours a week, but they might work 10 or 12 hours a week. It's something that they really enjoy with people who really know and enjoy them. So getting back to the goals of the program, the first thing is engagement. So not about once a month, every month, I spend about 15 hours creating an interactive calendar for parents. I go through every event within about a 35-mile radius. I go through Facebook and look at everything. Everybody posts there, whether your event is small or large or medium, and I see where can I take this group of kids that they can interact with their community so that the community really gets to know them and they get to know the community. We also have members of the community come to us. I've had my friend who's a science teacher, Chris Long, come and teach us the science of sparklers. So we did that one day. I've had my friend Tom Sale, who's an artist at Bardwell College, come and teach us how to make paper mache puppets. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm sure you guys know there's a very vague, nebulous sense of autism awareness out there. People say, oh, right, I've heard of autism. I'm aware of autism. But they don't really know people on the spectrum. So by us going out every single day to places large, medium, small in our community, by having the community come to us, they really get to know our kids. And I have lots of anecdotal stories I can tell you here if you have time.
Tell us some of the anecdotal stories.
Yeah.
Now this is a daily, I want to just interrupt for a second. This is a daily program, correct?
Daily meeting. It is, and I'll talk to you more about why that's unique in and of itself. I don't want to get too off track here, but I want to remind me to tell you the other 2 things that I think makes my program really special.
Yeah.
But anecdotal stories.
Right. So having the community involved and interactive with our kids. Recently, I took them to see a melodrama at night. You know, melodrama where you throw popcorn at the villains and
you boo. Yes, love it.
I had called previously, so we got front row seats for the tables with the kids, and of course they had a great time throwing the popcorn and all that. And at the end, 2 of our kids, my daughter among them, ran up on stage and took bows with the cast and hugged all the cast members. Well, you can't get more interactive with autism than that. And my husband and I just kind of went, oh my goodness, well, there you go. What are you going to do? Too late. There they go. The next day, the cast came to my Facebook page and said how much they loved meeting our kids. It was the most fun night they'd had in recent memory. Wanted to know when we could come back. And while this hasn't happened yet, that's how I see opportunities opening for our kids. A lot of our kids are artists, for example. So maybe the next time the Sandwich Theater has an opportunity for some scene painting, they might say, hey, you said you had a kid that's good at art. Would they like to come paint some backdrops for us or something like that? So that our kids can start using what they're good at and having people who know and like them give them something to do.
You're making
that's-
connections with the community, Jamie, and we don't know how far those ripples will go, but it's what
No.
they need.
Exactly. And that's where we go everywhere. I think you showed pictures a minute ago. We went to an art studio. We had a lady give us a private session on Canvas, and I was just absolutely blown away by how good some of our kids are. So again, that might be an occasion where she says, hey, could Ryan come and help us prepare canvases or something like that. I'm not saying everything's in the arts. We both do other things as well, but I come from an arts background, so the people I hang around with tend to be artists or professors. So I'm looking for any door I can open for them so that they really get to know our kids and, again, get some opportunities that they might not otherwise have had, because the TWC and other job placement, they're not looking for those kinds of things. Or if they are, they're not. I don't know how they would find them. They place them in grocery stores, they place them in nursing homes and things like that. But for our creative set, that just doesn't work out. So we're always looking for who will come, let us come to them, what can we do with them, how can we show you that people on the spectrum are not some of the stereotypical things that people think of people with autism. What we get a lot is, oh, I thought people with autism didn't speak. I thought people with autism didn't show emotion. I thought people with autism didn't smile. I thought people with autism were violent. Those are kind of some of the kind of perceptions that are out there. So when we come in our group we usually have 10 to 12 kids on each outing, come en masse and kind of invade whatever space they have, and they are curious and interested and happy. It really changes the perception of autism, and I think those doors will open. We've only been around really since May. I started in January, but I was still teaching full time. And I really just put everything away and put all my energies into this in May. And we've already seen all of those things happen. And I'm finding those autistic adults who are just dying for things to do and have interaction and friendship, which is something else I want to talk about in a minute. If you have any questions right now, though, I can stop talking for a second.
Well, also one thing this does is provide respite for the parents too. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Although it's funny because as that is one of my goals, and you are always welcome to leave your kid with us for whatever outing we go to. I'm finding that most of our parents have bonded now, and they want to see each other, so they end up hanging out at the events, and they love seeing their kids have friends and have fun and be together. So they will every once in a while take a break and say, hey, I just want to go grocery shopping or go to a movie or what have you, but they're ending up staying with us because they like to see their kids having fun.
Yeah, good.
Amazing. And it's very affordable. We should let people know that that you've set a price point. People you don't have to sign up to do it every day of the week. You can come to one thing and not come to another thing, and that generally it's between, you said to us, $20 and $40 for an event, and that includes the cost of getting to the event and the ticket price, correct?
Right. But yeah, most events are between $20 and $40, as you said, typically $20. They're about 2 hours, and the reason that they are 2 hours is because that's about all our kids can stand. They love going out and doing the social things, but they'll tell me at like 90 minutes, okay, I'm done. Time to go. So we've decided that 2 hours is about the right amount of time. It is every single day. You do not have to come to every single event, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, you're a child and you know what is best for them. So we have some kids that are very active and love things like roller skating, and some kids that hate things like roller skating. So if you don't want to come to a roller skating day, you don't have to. One of the things that was a barrier for me as a single mother for 9 years was cost. So I want to make it affordable for parents so that they are willing to get their kid out, because you can't come just, I'm trying to back up here. I encourage parents to come at least 2 or 3 times a week so that they form those friendship bonds, so that the community is really getting to know them. But I don't say you have to come 2 times a week or you have to come 3 times a week. We just encourage that for the friendship and that sort of thing. Another thing, when I was a single mom, if there were any events to be had and they were a week long, they were very expensive. $500, $600 was typical, and I think anybody would tell you that. So I want to make affordability part of the package to encourage parents to come. Obviously, the $20 is not going to sustain the program because, as you said, the events are covered. If we're going to the zoo and it's $20, that pays for your zoo ticket and maybe a little bit for a snack or something like that. But I'm not making any money off the parents themselves. Mm-hmm. That's never my intention and never will be my intention.
And you're doing all this. You're doing all this by yourself, setting up all these.
Literally, all by myself. I'm doing literally everything by myself at this point. So I have people have been very generous. They have helped me sustain the program through private donation, but every month it's interesting.
And you're the only daily meeting social skills group in the country, you say? To your knowledge?
That's what I've, to my knowledge. Now, if there is, I haven't heard about it.
Right.
I had a friend when I first started, we looked into this and we looked for other things and couldn't find any. Now, there are places that'll meet once a month or quarterly or something like that. Right. But we are daily because I think it has to be daily. For our kids in particular, improving those social skills means going out all the time.
Right.
While things like OT have their place, they're not real world experiences. You can't practice OT in a room where it's just you and the therapist, you know. Practicing speaking to the ticket agent or ordering dinner or whatever, it takes actual being out in public. So we've already seen so many families. Everything that I thought in theory would happen has actually happened, and that's been really gratifying for me to see those friendships being formed. That's just been so wonderful. When WFAA, our local ABC affiliate, came to do a story on us, she was watching, the reporter was watching my kids around the table, and she said, "Oh my gosh, how many years have they known each other? They all get along so well." And I said, "They've known each other a few weeks." So our kids are hungry for that kind of friendship and interaction. They just haven't had anywhere to get it until now. Most of our kids in the program have now exchanged Facebook and phone numbers. They call each other. If I'm late getting pictures up from the event, I post them every day because they're the ones that want to see them. They'll text me and call me, "Jamie, where are the pictures, Jamie? Where's the calendar? What are we doing tomorrow? Who's coming?" So that is really gratifying for me to see. And so I'm so happy for them.
There is a website that you can go to. And do we have that, Samantha? Can you put that up on the screen, the website? And hopefully we'll get her back. There's
Austen's Autistic Adventures.squarespace.com. And I know that they have information on that site that you can find out events that are coming up. Right.
But I want to say too, we talk about on the show all the time the power of one.
Right.
And it's always last year. Was it last year or the year before they did a 2-part special on television about the cliff, and they showed the parents, and my husband and I couldn't watch it. We had to watch it in shifts because it gave us such anxiety.
It gives me anxiety because my son's coming up to it. Because
you watch the one mom and she was like, there's nothing and I don't know what's going to happen. And my son, he's done in 6 months and I don't know what's going to happen. And of course, as you watch, you see what always happens is the mom goes, "Okay, there's nothing there. So I guess I'm going to have to create something." Now, sometimes you luck out. Sometimes you're me and you live in a community and you go, "Oh, a mom already did this for me, so I get to move on to the next thing that my kid doesn't have." And then you do. There's always a place for you to find something that doesn't exist. But, look first to see if somebody's doing something like this in your area or the thing that you need. And if they're not, I love that Lisa Ackerman, that's how Taka started. Lisa was like, "I need a community of people
to talk about autism."
And so she put up a flyer and said, "I'm having a meeting, come to my living room." And she could have rented out a baseball stadium for the people who showed up.
Right.
And Taka was created. And now it's all over the country. So, I think, check and see if somebody's doing it. If they're not, put out a flyer.
If you build it, they will come.
Because you're not the only person who needs it. Let's face that. And sometimes it's your answer too.
To hear that this is possibly the only program in the country for daily get-together is really kind of frightening.
Yeah. Yeah, but now she's setting a model and saying, this is how I'm going to do
Right.
it. She's had to leave her full-time job to do it.
Yes.
But her daughter has a program. She's got a mission, and all these other families are benefiting from it. And I think, before too long, she's going to have a book and other things that'll happen for her because this happened.
And that this will grow into other chapters,
Yes.
I'm sure.
And I'm sure that somebody's watching going, okay, now wait a second, maybe I can do that.
Maybe I can do this for my child. Yeah, in my community.
Yeah. I mean, anything is possible. So it appears that we've lost her and she's rebooted. We're
we
going to be
might
out
have
of
her
time
back.
though. But we thank Jamie so much for being with us and for being an inspirational
And wish her
mom.
luck with Austen's Autistic Adventures, that it grows and
Absolutely.
grows around the country.